Hello everyone, welcome to the webinar. I'm just going to give it a couple of minutes to let a few more people join and then we'll get started in about a minute or so. Okay, we've got quite a good amount of people with us now, so I'll get us started. Welcome to our live session. Thank you for taking the time to join us today to learn more about how to prepare your strategy for the next phase of AI. Before we jump in, let me introduce you to our speakers. So first up, we've got James Boother, who is our Chief Technology Officer here at Coeo. James has been at Coeo for around 12 years and is an expert in bringing technology solutions to life. He's not on the call just yet as he is having technical problems, but hopefully in a few minutes, we're also going to have Nihao Amin, who is our head of AI. Nihao joined us just over a year ago from Microsoft, so he has lots of experience with Microsoft technologies. We've got a lot to cover today. Sorry, we've got a lot to cover today, but we will have time for questions at the end. So as we go through, feel free to pop any thoughts or questions into the chat or the Q&A feature, and we'll come back to them. With that, I'll hand over to James to get us started.
Brilliant. Thank you very much, Gemma. Welcome to our session today. I thought I'd start with a provocative question, which is generative AI a solution looking for a problem? Because I've heard a lot of people in the industry and analysts talk about the fact that there's a lot of hype with generative AI and that it's not necessarily aligned to where businesses need to derive value. So I think it's important to get this on the table from the beginning. We have certainly seen challenges in the past where businesses have experimented with AI, but done it in a very technologically focused way without thinking about what the business impact might be. And therefore, whilst it is of interest to the technologists within the business, it's not necessarily delivering on the business value that it should. With that in mind, we've collected some data to share with you today from industry analysts who are beginning to research the impact that generative AI is providing. And I'm delighted to see that there is value being derived from generative AI in the market, and we're beginning to see the benefits really come to life. I think it's cool that we're seeing that productivity gains are being achieved within organizations. However, we need to be very careful to make sure that that does actually align to business value. If you are setting up a business case whereby your generative AI solution is going to shave 30 seconds off a transaction that takes place 10 times a day for an individual, then that's unlikely to be actually providing enough business value for you to be seeing a return on the investment that you'll be making around that. So think about what the immediate benefits are, but also think about what the secondary benefits are when you're planning your business case and your strategy. A great example of this I saw was where a call center was looking to reduce the amount of time they were spending on every call to classify the calls that were coming in. The initial business case was stating that there was going to be a saving of about 30 seconds on every call. However, that was not actually put in the business case as the value driver for the projects. The reason for the project to go forward in the business case that we derived was because we could improve the quality of those classifications and therefore the intelligence that was available to the business, and ensure that the customers were being better managed by the call center, and therefore customer satisfaction was improving, which reduced churn and improved the upsell opportunity. And that could be measured, and was measurable, and generated much more value to the business than the time saving that was produced by it. We're beginning to see adoption really take off. 72% of businesses now are reported to be adopting AI. And I think for me, one of the big areas to look at is the fact of the £5 ROI for every £1 spent on AI. This is a phenomenally fast growing area, and I think it's really valuable to look at the potential GDP benefits to the UK of 550 billion by 2035. So you can see why this has become a parliamentary discussion. And just a week ago, Keir Starmer made a statement, our Prime Minister, about how UK are going to position ourselves as a AI powerhouse to drive productivity, improve efficiency, and create new opportunity for the country. As we move on to the history of AI and where we are in the era of AI, I'll hand over to Nihal, who has hopefully joined us now back on the call.
Thank you, James. Can everyone hear me? I hope everyone can hear me.
I can hear you loud and clear, Nihal.
Yeah, apologies for that. My laptop crashed just as we were about to head into the meeting. But it's great to see so many people on the call. And yeah, as JB mentioned, we're seeing real value being gained from generative AI and AI in general. But that's come throughout a journey that we had to follow in order to get to where we are today. And I still remember the time where I worked at Microsoft before I joined Koyo, and I worked with ChatGPT, OpenAI technologies before ChatGPT even released to the market. And I still remember when ChatGPT was released, and it changed how generative AI, artificial intelligence, was perceived in the world forever. AI has become part of a lot of people's daily lives and interactions, and it's followed a journey of capability where it started off in one way where we've seen the real capability of large language models, and we've continuously improved those capabilities to get to somewhere where we've now got models that can reason, talk back to us, all powered with different features and technologies to really get the real value out of generative AI. So we truly are in the era of AI, and that journey started off with ChatGPT being released in March 2023. GPT-4 was released, and the journey of AI is the fact that features and technologies are constantly being released as time goes on, right? I think AI is the most transformational industry there is to date, and we're seeing new features, new capabilities, new models released almost every week. And there's a factor of us having to stay up to date with that, up to trend with that. And I think personally as well, it's actually quite a difficulty to stay up to date with what's going on in the era of AI, what's next, what people are releasing. And we're also seeing responsible AI becoming more of importance as we've seen these AI models introduce hallucinations, trained on large amounts of data. Responsible AI has become more and more important, that we build secure and private solutions. And go to January 2024, we've seen multiple open source large language models, small language models. GPT-4 Omni was released to the public, and that came out of just ChatGPT being released. ChatGPT being released from OpenAI caused so many different features to be released throughout the last 2 years. And now we're heading to something that's a bit more different. We're now building on what we've learned in the past with these large language models. And now we're working with something called AI agents and semi-autonomous AI. And I'll dive more into that in the later slides, but we're now starting to really understand the potential of where AI can be used. And I think the strategy aspect of it is really, really important. So, yeah, JB, could we move to the next slide? Thank you very much. this all was a result from the partnership between Microsoft and OpenAI. And funny enough, just yesterday there was an article released that OpenAI have agreed to continue the partnership with Microsoft until 2030. And what this partnership gives us is access to OpenAI's most powerful large language models, wrapped around with Microsoft's own kind of Azure capability. So the Microsoft ensure that each of the models are secure, safe. Any information that goes into the model and an information that comes out stays within your organization. It's not taken by Microsoft. It's not taken by OpenAI. And this partnership has really allowed Microsoft to embed this technology within all of its different services. So you've got Copilot, you've got some of the different Azure services having OpenAI technologies within them. And as part of those models, we've got Sora, which is able to generate video content. We've got Whisper, GPT-4 Omni, DALI, and O1, which is the latest and greatest model, I would say, from OpenAI. And it's got something called advanced reasoning capabilities. And in fact, if we go on to the next slide, thank you, JB, we could talk a bit about O1. And I've been using large language models for the past 2 years, and I've come to understand the way large language models behave. Uh, and some people, you may even see it on LinkedIn. If you're scrolling through posts, sometimes you can actually see, yeah, this is definitely AI generated content, or this is definitely information that's been released by a large language model. With the O1 model, it's kind of changed the way we actually generate information, in the sense it's with something called chain of thought. So the way we use ChatGPT and the other technologies, it's very much input output. So we put in a prompt, we put in an input, we ask a question, and then we derive an output. With the O1 model, it's thinking. I don't like to say that AI is actually thinking, but it's thinking in the sense it's taking the input that is provided by a user, it's generating an output. It's taking that input output and then generating an output again. So basically, it's not just one input output. It's not just one prompt and one answer. You're going from prompt answer, prompt answer, prompt answer until the model decides that this is the most appropriate answer for your question, and then provides you with that answer. And which is why with this O1 model, it says something like it's thinking for 13 seconds, or it gives you a lot longer. It gives you time to before it actually provides you with an answer. So in a way, the AI is actually second guessing itself. It's actually catching out on its own mistakes. It's verifying what it's saying is accurate and then providing the user with the answer. And I've seen the O1 model to really be much more capable in actually generating information, handling code, doing reasoning. When a user has a complex query, the O1 model is the most suitable to answer those kind of questions. This model has now become multi-modal, so it can work with text and images. And you can actually choose the reasoning capability of the model. So if you've got really complex tasks that you're trying to follow, you can make it, you can have the capability to be on high. If you've got quite easy tasks or something that would be quite simple, you could keep the model reasoning to be low. And that's where we're kind of heading towards this advanced reasoning where the AI can think for itself. I don't like saying that, but in a way, it's thinking to provide you with the right answer.
Nihal, in December, OpenAI announced the O3 model. They skipped O2 because it's the telecommunications provider here in the UK, and moved on to the O3 model. Is the O3 model, tell us a bit about that, and about what capabilities it brings. And could you just answer as to whether you perceive the O3 model to be superseding O1 or complementary to O1?
That's a great question, JB. And the O3 model is very interesting. Now, OpenAI have kept quite a few things under wraps. They've only provided us with the most limited information we can, and that's understandable from the organization itself. So the O3 model is supposed to be the next variant of the O1 model. And I read an article, and don't quote me on this, but it was something around the O3 model has the same capability as the 200th best engineer at Google. So that was pretty much That was pretty much the capability of the O3 model, where it's 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 building on O1, but it's a bit more advanced. So that reasoning that O1 has been following, O3 is following that in a more instructional manner, which is why the O3 model has been seen as much more powerful, superseding the O1 model, can generate information quicker, can do a lot more tasks quicker. And another aspect of the O3 model is the fact that it should have a lot more parameters. It should be the model itself is going to be a lot more complex than the O1 model. And would it be complementary to the O1 model, or would it be in its own it's in its own right, in its own version? And I think we're going to find out more about that once we can actually test the model. I think they'll both be important, but one thing that we'll probably have to look at, definitely of importance, is cost considerations. I suspect the O1 model will be cheaper than the O3 model because it's not going through as much compute, it's not generating as much tokens. The O3 model, right, should be most likely more expensive. But with that more expensive, you're going to have a result in much more accurate answers, very less hallucinations. That's also another capability of the O3 model. There is little to no hallucinations, right? But we need to understand, is that worth the cost consideration? Is our use case simple enough that the O1 model would do everything perfectly and we don't have to invest the amount that the O3 model? So that's something that we've seen as a difference, and we'll see a lot more as OpenAI provides us more information.
Brilliant. Thanks for that overview. I think if we get on to how the O1 model works, and I think you've got a little demo to show us here and you're going to take us through that.
Yep.
You've taken the screen share. I'll hand over
Yeah,
to you.
the screen disappeared for some reason, so I'm sharing my screen. Is it working?
Yep.
Just quickly, before we get onto the demos and discuss a bit more about agents, we have the GPT-4 Omni model, and we also have the O1 model, which they both. So a question I always ask quite a lot of the time is the GPT-4 Omni model a replacement? Is the O1 model a replacement to the GPT-4 Omni model? And this example shows a good reference of how does it differ, where we've asked the Omni model and the O1 model to solve a crossword. The Omni model just generates information, gets it wrong. The O1 model, in the other hand, takes it step by step before it answers the question, and then it actually derives the right answer from the equation. And a question I'm asked is the O1 model is a replacement? Is it a replacement of the GPT-4 Omni model? And I would say that the Omni model is more conversational. If you wanted to have a conversation with an assistant, you would choose the Omni model. On the other hand, as part of that conversation, is there a complex task that you're trying to solve? That's where the O1 model comes in. So I would say it's actually complementary to the Omni model than just being a replacement to it. And things will change as time goes on. We'll get quicker answers, we'll get quicker information, and this is just highlighting that we're maturing in the AI business. So, JB, could you tell me a bit about how the AI maturity is really increasing in the market and where AI agents sit, which we're going to go on in a little later, where I've got a good couple of demos to show, and where we're heading towards as part of the maturity
Yeah,
in the era of
certainly.
AI?
Thank you, Nihal. So this is actually a slide that a model that was put together by Gartner, and they looked at 5 different levels of AI maturity. Starting at level 1, awareness, where early AI interest where there's a risk of overhyping. So this is typically where the models are fairly naive compared to the more advanced reasoning models, but people were setting them up in such a way, and people were expecting more from them than was actually they were capable of. So people felt a bit disillusioned by the capability of AI at this phase of maturity. Fortunately, I think we're now moving past that, and a lot of organizations that we're working with are in level 2 or level 3 at this point, where there's AI experimentation going on. It may be in the data science context. It could also be in the generative AI context as well. And simple problems are beginning to get solved within organizations. And that's where we move into operational AI. So if you think about very specific use cases within an organization being solved by an AI model, as I mentioned earlier, maybe summarizing the conversation on a call center call and then categorizing that call to say that was a complaint, or it was an inquiry, or it was some other type of interaction with the call center. We're beginning to see that actually delivering value within organizations, because they're getting much richer data as a result of using AI to essentially improve and enhance their data quality and providing a very specific and niche use case. We like to think of these as AI agents, and Microsoft has started talking about the age of agentic AI, which is where you've got agents that perform specific tasks within an organization at a useful and usable level. Um, but they are very discrete in the way that they operate. We then move up to level 4, which is systemic, and that is where AI becomes much more pervasive across the organization. This does require some prerequisites within your organization. You need to become much more data centric. You need to be much more technology led in order for you to be able to use AI as a transformation tool within your organization. It's very important at this point that the data within your organization is accessible to the AI that you're deploying within your organization. You also need to start using much more advanced models, because rather than a single task being performed, complete business processes are being automated. Now, the way that you can achieve that is by taking agents, bringing them together, and then orchestrate, using AI to orchestrate over the top of that. And Nihal's got some great demos of that coming up slightly later in the session. The ultimate ambition is to move to level 5, which Gartner described as transformational, and that's where AI is a part of the business DNA. So it's fully integrated in, and the way that we see that being delivered within the AI sphere is with the use of autonomous AI, and this is very advanced models, possibly O3 and beyond. Where those models are able to essentially fulfill complete practice within an organization and take full control of that particular area of the business. I've not witnessed any organizations actually being at level 5 yet, but there are definitely experiments going on to see how far and how pervasive AI can be within organizations that we're working with. If you could move on to the next slide, please. So what we've done up to now is given you some context to where we are today, where we see the future of AI going. But we thought it would be quite useful, if you're trying to build a strategy around AI, to start thinking within your organization about what the use cases might be for AI, and then how you would go about prioritizing those use cases. So the way that we engage with the clients when we're working with them to try and help them on a transformation journey with AI is to start identifying pain points within the organization. This helps us understand where there is business value associated to the use of AI within the organization, and gives us some discrete use cases that we can start looking at automation with and help drive business value. We take all of those use cases that we identify in a planning workshop. We generally bring in business stakeholders and technical stakeholders to work together, having already done some prerequisite training and some scene setting to make sure that we're going to come up with the most creative and valuable use cases in the session. We then plot that on a 2x2 grid, a Boston matrix, with value on one axis and ease of implementation on the other axis. What that then means that we can do is group together use cases that are going to be of long-term strategic value. That means that they're going to derive a lot of value within the organization, but there's going to be some considerable effort in order to deliver those use cases. Um, and then we'll group together the quick wins. So these are the ones that you can get started with, that you're going to start seeing some immediate benefit from, but they're going to be simpler to introduce within your organization. What we then do is take those use cases, bring those into your strategy, look to align what you're trying to do as an organization to these use cases, and then build a roadmap with you to start delivering those. We've got a process where we turn that into an innovation engine, and that allows you to then very quickly start deriving value from the introduction of AI and the transformation of AI within your organization, with the longer term objective of getting deeper and deeper value out of the use of AI. As I mentioned earlier, what we're beginning to see is that organizations are starting to think about how they can create, turn these use cases into specific deliverables with the use of AI. And what we're seeing is organizations deploying AI agents within their organization to solve these discrete use cases. And Nihal is going to describe how this actually works in practice, and shows how AI becomes the enabler to deliver these agent-based solutions within organizations.
Thank you, JB. And I think AI agents is now it's become a bit of a buzzword. Every LinkedIn post I see, it's got either AI mentioned, some sort of agents mentioned, or just anything to do with AI really. And it's a bit of a buzzword because I've seen a lot of clients be a bit confused on what are actually AI agents. Is it something really really complex? Is it really advanced? Does it supersede large language models, or where does it sit within the generative AI stack? And I think the best way, just building on what James has said as well, is agents are capable of doing specific tasks based on a request. And if you look at the left hand side, there's a bit of a diagram that shows this is basically the simple structure of what a AI agent looks like, where you've got the underlying large language model which powers the input output, the conversational capability, the one that talks to you when you're leveraging the model, the agent. You've then got a personality where you've actually customized the model itself to act in a certain way. So it could be a HR assistant, it could be a customer service help desk assistant, it could be a sales advisor, it could be a contract analysis agent. So you actually customize the personality and dictate how you want the model to act. And what that enables you to do is it helps you remove any hallucinations, because you've already set where the model you've set how the tone of the model, and you've set how the model should react based on your requests. So you've got the personality, and then you've got the memory, which the model actually has. The agent will have a combination of data sources as well as its own conversation history with the user. So it's looking at that conversation history. It's looking at other data sources to see what information it's got access to. And based on its personality, based on the memory, based on all the data it's got, the information it has, it then performs an action. So based on the action, the model decides, and I've got a really good demo that highlights how this works. Um, what would be the best appropriate uh, action to perform based on the user request. And if you see the example on the right hand side, we say something like, tell me the last 6 months of sales figures in Europe. We've got a code agent that goes actually generates the code from natural language to a code writer agent, which is then sent to the code executor agent that executes the code on the data source and then brings back the information. The total sales in Europe is so and so in number. So you can build specialist agents for specific use cases, and this this goes into something more of a business process automation and something called known as a multi-agent framework. And I'm just going to get into the demos real quick and show you what a multi-agent solution looks like and what a multi-agent solution is. I've highlighted what agents are on the left-hand side. Multi-agents are basically the combination of agents to be able to plan, observe, and react based on the user's request. So you've got multiple different capabilities. You've not just got one action. You've got like 5, 6, 7 different actions that are going on to achieve that specific task. So if I pull up the demos real quick, my computer restarted, so we're just going to run it over here. Right. Right. I think everyone can still see my screen. Yep. Okay. So this is an agentic solution. It actually has multi-agents involved. And what I'm going to do is, just let's have a look at my query. When and where is the next game of Arsenal? Print a link for purchase. And I've got several agents over here. I've got a coding agent, I've got an execution agent, I've got a file surfer agent, and I've got a web surfer agent. So I'm going to run this. And while I run this, I'm actually just going to talk through the capabilities of what's going on in the background and how businesses can actually leverage this capability. The with the understanding of agents, it's actually just the way where we are able to observe what needs to be done, make a plan in accordance to what the user has asked, and then act upon that. And that's kind of different to what we've been experiencing with large language models. We will just you say something, you get an output. In this essence, you've got a thought process you're going on. There's a plan that is actually being made to actually provide you with an output. And where businesses can leverage this is they can define agents to do manual, simplistic tasks. I've seen people create HR agents before. So instead of someone having to go into a particular system and book their own vacation, check if they've got leave, get approval from the manager, that you can actually build a multi-agent system that says, I need to book leave for 7 days during Christmas for so and so reason, right? And it will automatically say, okay, that's your request. I'll send a request to your manager. Manager approves it. Then it will check the CRM, check the database, and ask you, okay, so you've got 15 days of leave, so we can do 7 days. And then it will actually upload the request itself within the system and put leave without you having to do those multitude of steps to just book vacation for yourselves. And you can combine this with several different parts of a business. You can do this in HR, you can do this for sales, you can do this for efficiency savings, because agents is supposed to not replace us, but do things that would take a significant amount of time in a more simplistic manner. So if I go back to the demo where I'm going to talk to a bit more of the technical aspect of things, is my request is when and where the next game of Arsenal, when's the next game of Arsenal, print a link to the purchase, right? And you can see there's something called the orchestrator, and it's actually making a plan of what we need to do. So you can see we are working to address the following user request. When and where is the next game of Arsenal? Print a link for their purchase. To answer this request, we've assembled the following team. A coder, which can code with Python skills, Linux, etc. You've got an executor that executes the code, file surfer that goes through local files, and a web surfer that actually goes through the web, clicks on links, and so on. And it actually has a fact sheet as well. So the verified facts are it's Arsenal Football Club. The facts to look up is when, the date, and location, and even educated guesses. So it's actually making it's it's making educated guesses on what will be useful for us to find. For example, Arsenal's next game is likely as part of an ongoing league, Premier League, and so on. So you can actually see as well is there's a ledger, and this is run every round that the agents go through of a thought process where you can see is the request satisfied, the information about Arsenal's next game and tickle link has not been retrieved yet. So now you can see that it's actually going by a step-by-step process. So this web surfer is OCRing everything on Bing.com, and it actually searches up Arsenal's next game schedule and ticket purchase. And then it keeps going through a step-by-step process where it's verifying the information in what it's actually seeing. It's OCRing all the text. It's understanding what's within the links. It's clicking on a particular link that's going to a website, and it's actually finding the information. So you can see over here, the web surfer has actually gone to, I think it's the Arsenal website, and it's you can see over here Arsenal versus Dynamo Zagreb at Jan 2022, which is today at 8 o'clock. So again, you keep going in a process, and this is not a process that's going to be done rapidly. This is a process that is a bit time consuming because agents are collaborating together to give you an output where it's trying to understand what is the most useful information, what are we doing something that's accurate, and so on. So
Nihal, one of the things I thought was quite interesting about this is where we've been testing this agent solution in the run up to this webinar, the demo. We've seen the agents go off and find different websites, so it doesn't always go to the official Arsenal website. So, for example, we tried it a few days ago, and there were no tickets available on the Arsenal website. So it had gone to a resale site that had tickets available, and that really demonstrates how it's inferring as it goes through, validating the responses it gets back, and checking that it meets the prerequisite that was set in the question.
James, you're absolutely spot on. In fact, you one step ahead of me because that was going to be my example, but you've explained it perfectly. And that is actually the real power of agents. And I've actually ran this just before the webinar itself, after my laptop restarted. And it actually tells you Arsenal's next game is against Dynamo Zagreb at January 22, 2025 at 8 o'clock. The match will take place in the Emirates Stadium as part of the Champions League. You can purchase tickets for this, visit this link, and you'll be able to purchase this ticket. And James has been absolutely spot on, where it's actually going through a thought process to return an answer to you. And an example of this that I've also tried just yesterday was I was looking to purchase a book, and it was out of stock everywhere. And I looked myself, and I couldn't really find anything. I tried, and so I thought, why don't I ask the agentic solution if it could find me this book I'm looking for, because maybe we'll visit a lot more sites. And what it did was it went through several different sites, but it also told me, look, it's out of stock here, out of stock here. The price range was maybe sometimes too expensive in a particular site, where a book that should be RRP for like £30 was like £600 or something. So it actually told me about what's going on. But what was really stood out to me, and that really showed me the capability of agents, was after it went through that process, it told me, unfortunately, I could not find the book you're looking for. However, let me run some Python code and create a notification. So when a book does become available, I'll send you the notification immediately, and you'll be aware of the book, and you can immediately purchase it. And I thought that was really, really powerful, because that is something that even we wouldn't think of. It's and actually we could think of that too, but it's the essence of the thought process is going through. We couldn't fulfill your request, but here's a caveat that will help you still fulfill it in the long term. It actually ran some code and created a notification for me that said, when the book is released on this website, it will give me a notification, immediately tell me on my laptop, so then I can go purchase the book. And that's the real capability of agents, to find a way to solve a problem and go about that in different ways until you come to a conclusion, as James mentioned with the whole Arsenal example. And it does run for a while, but it also does provide you with the right answer, where I can go to a link and also purchase the tickets. We have another example for you, which I'll keep quite quick, because I think the other example showcases the capability in a pretty powerful manner. But this example actually just highlights what it could look like in a specific scenario where I think having a multitude of agents, providing them with several different data sources, it actually highlights how these agents interact with each other. At the end of the day, this is just multiple large language models talking to each other. But that is very powerful in itself. So you could see over here, I can pick a specific use case. I can see that there's agents online, the CRM agent, the funds agent, CIO agent, news agent. I could start a new conversation. I could say something like, provide me with a summary of the portfolio's positions of my client ID 12345 6. What's going on is it's calling a function, it's taking an action, it's going to the database, it's looking for client ID 12345 6, it's finding the information from client ID 12345 6, and then retrieving that information of the portfolio. So you've got Microsoft, Nvidia, Apple, Amazon, and where this can be even improved upon even more is that a particular example went to a different database to provide information, provide us with the answer. In this instance, I asked it, what are our chief investment office beliefs on the AI sector? Now what's going on is it's going to a different data source. It's combining a summarizing agent that actually goes through each of the data and then provides you with a final output where I can see the believes that the AI sector is one of the most compelling long-term investment opportunities, long-term growth potential, capital expenditures, semiconductor industry. So the combination of agents, action points, capabilities was able to provide me with a full end-to-end solution. And that's really the power of agents.
So can I just check you there? Is your AI
Yep.
agent telling you to invest in AI?
I think so. It might be telling me that. And for good reason too, because we're getting to a point where we're really seeing value with AI where our customers are achieving efficiency savings. They're finding terms of revenue gains. They're even improving customer satisfaction. It's we've actually had a recent survey that people prefer sometimes to talk to an AI agent than to talk to a human agent, which I thought was very interesting. So I think we may have to invest in AI, James.
And I
Um,
think the use of multiple agents together with a agent orchestrating all of that work, just it multiplies the power up of the AI models that we've been using in more discrete single use cases up until now.
Absolutely. Back to the slides.
Right?
Yep. The next, just quickly on the kind of highlighting more of James's Gartner maturity slide, where business process automation is the next thing. And I think it actually, business process automation and a multi-agent framework is actually very similar in the sense they're both trying to automate parts of a business process. And the achievements from that is you can automate repetitive tasks that would take people a very long time to do. You can reduce costs and you can even receive improved customer satisfaction. And where business process automation is heading is the fact of autonomous AI. How can we define? In fact, this is more of a instead of a multi-agent framework, this is like multi-agent systems combined with multi-agent systems to give you an output where you've got agents that can complete several different tasks coming together with each and every business process to act in a certain way, where now you can break down individual tasks and allow AI to look after the tasks, orchestrate who does what, orchestrate where does the idea go, who needs to act upon the idea, who needs to provide the answer, and put all of that together to finally give you the output.
Brilliant.
So I think that having the right team is really, really essential in this next phase of generative AI. So, JB, could you tell us a bit about what an AI project team looks like?
Yeah, certainly, Nihal. What we're seeing is that you actually need to assemble a team with people with different experiences and skills within it to be able to be successful at delivering a project. Now, in order to ensure that the great work that you're doing with AI agents or business process automation is actually having a business impact, it's really important to get a sponsor or a senior executive aligned to the work that you're doing. The reason for that is that they're driving the business strategy within your organization. And that then means that any effort that you put into building transformation work within AI is aligning to what you're trying to achieve as a business, and you're going to be working in the most impactful area. So it's key that you get yourself a senior executive as a stakeholder and sponsor for the project. What we then see is needing some skills that are within tech, and we need some skills that are within the business. And we're seeing the need for um, business product owners that can translate the needs of the business and the tech teams. We need program managers, and then we need some fundamental tech skills which can be brought together with architects, engineers, project managers, and software engineers who can deploy these experiences and skills that are listed on this screen here. By assembling these types of team together within a hybrid scenario of business and technical, you can ensure that you're going to meet the main needs of your business. Nihal, shall we move on to the welcome use case? Because I'd love to bring to light some of the work that you've been doing with our customers in the field.
Absolutely, thank you, JB. And yeah, Welcome Trust is the I think it's the third biggest not-for-profit organization in the world globally, and they came to us with a request around AI. How can they do it? How can they adopt it? And we understood their pain points. We understood the fact that they don't allow their employers to use ChatGPT. We understood they want capabilities to interact with documentation, upload their own documents, and so on. And we effectively went to with them and actually put together a strategy. We put together a strategy that took them step by step into an AI journey where we start off with a kind of proof of concept. Then we moved into more of a pilot and a more powerful solution. And then we built a more production grade solution with the most advanced and useful features for their organization that was provided to 2,000 plus employees. And with that, they were able to do analysis and research on private data. This was secure, customized, and it was in their own Azure tenant. So any information that was kept within there, no one else could access. OpenAI could not access. Microsoft could not access. No third-party organization could see that data. And they were given the ability to actually handle critical internal documentation and information. And what we did to actually enhance that process is we gave them the ability to actually dictate the model's personality, provide them with action items within the solution themselves. So we basically gave them the ability to create their own agents in a way, where they defined if they wanted a assistant that had access to HR documents, they would provide it with the HR documents. We would say you are a HR AI assistant. You've got access to this information, that information, that information, and then the model was more appropriate in completing the task provided by the user. So we gave them an enhanced ChatGPT solution, I like to call it, because it's got a multitude of different features that you wouldn't find in the public versions of ChatGPT, and it's private and secure, and it's also a solution that's constantly being improved upon. One thing that's really important about AI is it's a very iterative process. You start off with one aspect, you just need to you prove out the value, and then you go on to the next phase and the next phase until you get to an outcome where you're continuously building AI solutions across the business, finding and gaining real value from the technology. And that's what we've seen with Welcome Trust today, and that's where we're going to a multitude of more and more AI use cases across their business and organization. So, what makes it difficult? What is challenging about AI? And this is something I've seen even before working, even with the technology, working with it before at Microsoft. Adoption is the biggest challenge. When new services, models, capabilities are being released every single week, it's kind of hard to identify, wait, what's my approach? What do I use? What models do I use? What capabilities do I use? Where do I go from here with the constant changing of AI solutions and services? So that is a really important factor, and that's probably one of the most challenging ones. Do I have the right people in my business to actually be able to build AI solutions? Because AI hasn't been generative AI has become a trend and very powerful because of ChatGPT. But a lot of people didn't know this even existed before that date. So people have very limited experience with this technology, and it's difficult to find people with the right expertise. So what can we actually do to succeed? Right? We need to spend time discovering, exploring, and finding the right use case. Look at that Boston matrix that James provided us with previously, where you identify the most impactful use cases against the time and value. So you could start off with some quick wins, easily prove out AI capability, put it in the business, and see the return on investment. And then you can go and move on to more advanced solutions. Educate the leaders, managers, employees. I think we're at a stage where every person in an organization needs to have an understanding of artificial intelligence, generative AI. They don't need to be complete experts with it, but I think they should understand where they can potentially use it within their business to help them with their day-to-day role, how they can be more efficient. And there's also an aspect of upskilling your team, senior leaders, managers, and employees, and upskilling the entire organization with the technology. And there's also an aspect of in making an investment with partners and people that have done it before and leverage on their expertise and experience, so that time to value is much quicker than having to do it yourself or having to attempt it and have an exploratory phase with it to actually make an investment and work with others that have done it before, or other organization where you've seen it happen before. And I think that's just a couple of bullet points of where we can see real success. So, James, do you think there's anything else we need to be successful in the era of AI? Is there anything else we need to do as an organization that's really important to really showcase the value of this technology?
I don't see AI as being any different to any other digital transformation you're trying to achieve within your organization. So I think it's really important that you align very closely with what your business objectives and roadmap is. So if you've got planning of what the next 3 to 5 years look like for your organization, what you're trying to achieve, transformations you're trying to make as an organization, that should be in the hands of your business leaders, your CEO, your CFO, etc., the rest of the board. They will be driving the direction of the business. You need to align to that and find the highest impact use cases that are going to help you deliver that business value within your organization. You then need to write a hypothesis about what you believe that this use case is going to derive, and then you need to test it and prove the ROI against it. By demonstrating measurable benefit within the organization, you'll then build the demand and you'll be able to scale AI throughout your organization. Just to wrap up, we've been doing quite a lot of work with clients and helping them on their journey with AI, starting from clients who are at the beginning of their journey and running assessment workshops and transformation workshops with them, giving them expert advice, helping prepare them for what the impact of AI may be within their business, help them start thinking about what a business case would be to start the investment in AI and helping them deal with any objections and blockers that they may have within the organization. Then moving on to envisioning, where we can provide further education, help with ideation, ensure that the ideas that are coming through are tangible and achievable with AI, helping validate those use cases and turning those into proof of values that can be deployed within the organization to get the momentum behind the transformation journey with AI in the organization, and then moving on to deploying AI as a production solution with accelerators that we can drive that value very quickly within the organization. We're also working with lots of clients who have the potential to access Microsoft funding, which can help contribute towards the R&D that's required in order to get you started with AI and ensure that you accelerate that AI journey within your organization, get the most value out of the OpenAI service and the rest of the Microsoft Azure services. So let's move back to any questions that we might have. I'll hand over to Gemma just to handle this part and to wrap up the session.
Thank you both. Some great content there, and I think we've all definitely learned something new today. We have had a few questions in the chat. So the first one, I know we touched on one use case, but the first question was where they would be able to find references for different use cases where generative AI has been successfully provided as a solution.
That's a great question. And Microsoft have some really good success stories on their website, which demonstrates where they've been delivering AI within their customers and deriving value from that. We can certainly find some links for that as a follow-up from this session. And Nihal, I'm sure you've got some other suggestions and ideas about where people can get inspiration for use of AI within their organization from example use cases that have been deployed.
Yeah, no, absolutely, JB. I think James, you've hit the nail on the head with Microsoft do provide loads of different stories and success that they've seen with their clients, but if there's a lot of organizations, especially the bigger organizations like HSBC and so on, are doing lots with generative AI. And if you visit some of these organizations' company websites and then go into their like recent news and news articles, you can see some of their own individual success that they've had with the technology and leveraging their AI capabilities. So there's a lot of information out there.
Yeah, and then just moving on from that, when we're running our transformative workshops, which we offer free of charge to clients that we're working with, we'll during that workshop be evaluating potential use cases that could go forward within that organization. And we can often find examples of where that has actually already been solved within the AI industry to give some credibility to stakeholders at that early stage that this is something that is possible to approach and address with AI.
Thank you. So another question we had is about the web surfer agent that you used in your demo, Nihao. We've been asked, would that be able to bypass a captcha?
That's actually quite a funny question. And this is actually, I think, where responsible AI plays a very big part in actually ensuring that AI isn't used for stuff like this. So the web surfer agent itself that I've been using would not be able to bypass capture because it will actually recognize what it's on. So it will be like, this is a capture or this is something to bypass security. This means if it's allowed to access it or if it's not allowed to access it, it will make that judgment. But if, for example, you weren't allowed to access something or if you were trying to do something a little bit sketchy, the AI itself would not allow you to do that. However, could you build something that would go through something like capture? Now, again, this is where responsible AI is really important. We shouldn't use AI for stuff like that, but it's possible. I can't tell you that it's not possible.
I would love an AI capture helper. The number of times I get stuck with capture is unbelievable. Finding road crossings in multiple images.
Yeah.
Leading on from that question, we've had a comment. They see a lot of potential in AI, but they have concerns about having the resource to oversee it to ensure accuracy and hallucinations don't happen. So I don't know if you have anything to add to that one.
And I completely agree with that point. It's with with there being so much within this AI space, it's really important. That's where the whole strategic aspect of things comes into play. And there's also something that we've been doing with our clients. It's called something called generative AI operations and large language model operations, which is actually the continuous development and improvement the of your AI solution and technologies, which means that as you use the solution, it will remain accurate. It will stay accurate. There will also be an upgrade of constant models that are released by the different vendors implemented within your solution. Because as time goes on, as these models get better and better, we are seeing more accurate results. We're seeing limited hallucinations, and there's a whole aspect of how we can ground our models with the right data, with the right parameters, in order to make sure that that we are continuously provided with the most accurate results. So this is where the whole large language model operations and operations comes into play, where you've got a team that continuously manages and supports a AI solution. James, do you have anything to add to that?
No, I think you've covered everything there, Nihal.
Okay, and then the last question we've got is so there's lots of tools, models, and frameworks for AI, but the challenge is how would you integrate that into existing workflows, how to measure ROI, and to manage and scale the integrations within an enterprise?
I think Nihal actually covered this pretty well on the slide about adoption of AI. It's really important that you build a cohesive team to work on this, that you get the investment that you need within the organization, and that you do build a roadmap and approach that the business stakeholders can buy into, that is realistic for you to deliver against, and that you're getting the support and the investment that you need from business users. This really makes a big impact when you get good support across the whole business, and it's seen as a strategic endeavor that is going to transform the organization that you're working in. And Nihal, do you have any more thoughts on that?
No, I think you've hit the nail on the head, James. It's it is difficult, right? With the way AI is continuously improving and evolving, and things being released almost every couple of days, we see something new that is on the market. In fact, OpenAI even had 12 days of Christmas where they release something new on every single day. And there is an aspect of keeping up to date with that and staying ahead of that. And as James mentioned, the strategy aspect of things, the adoption, educating senior leaders, making sure we're working with the people that understand their business and also understand, and we're also working with people that understand the technology. Because when you put the two and two together, you can identify the capability where AI can actually have that return of investment. You could have a process that takes 4 days, 5 days of manual write up. AI could then come in and make that 20 minutes, for example. So, working with the right people, upskilling your team, and making sure you've got the right resources at play, I think is essential in developing AI solutions.
Great, thank you very much. Thanks, Nihal. Thanks, James. Thank you to everyone for joining, for asking your questions, and for being active in the chat. I think we're going to leave it there. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you all. Thank you very much.
Bye.
Bye.